The Avatamsaka vision of time and space, finding eternity in every moment. Hello, and welcome to one of the most profound and transformative teachings in all of Buddhist philosophy, the Avatamsaka Sutra's revolutionary understanding of time and space. Today we'll explore concepts that may initially sound abstract, but actually offer some of the most practical and comforting wisdom for navigating the challenges of modern life. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the pace of contemporary living, worried that you're running out of time to accomplish what matters most, or struggled with feeling insignificant in what seems like a vast, indifferent universe, then the teachings we'll explore today hold extraordinary gifts for you. The Avatamsaka vision reveals that your relationship with time and space might be completely different from what you've always assumed. These ancient insights about the nature of temporal and spatial reality aren't just philosophical curiosities from a distant past. They're pointing toward truths about existence that modern physics is only beginning to discover. And they offer practical wisdom for finding peace, meaning, and freedom in the midst of our busy, often chaotic lives. The Avatamsaka understanding of time and space is based on the recognition that reality is far more fluid, interconnected, and meaningful than our ordinary perception suggests. What we usually experience as separate moments strung together in linear sequence and separate locations scattered across vast distances are revealed to be aspects of a deeper wholeness where everything exists in profound interpenetration and mutual support. This isn't just mystical poetry, but a description of how consciousness and reality actually function when seen clearly. And discovering this truth can fundamentally transform how you experience your daily life, your relationships, your work, and your sense of purpose in the world. Today we'll journey together through teachings that can help you discover eternity in ordinary moments, find infinite meaning in finite experiences, and recognize that your individual life participates in cosmic processes so vast and beautiful that they can provide unshakable ground for confidence, peace, and joy, regardless of external circumstances. Let's begin this exploration with open hearts and minds, ready to discover that the universe you inhabit is far more friendly, meaningful, and supportive than you may have ever imagined. The Avatamsaka Sutra presents us with one of the most extraordinary understandings of time ever articulated through the teaching known as one thought moment contains three times contained in one moment. This insight completely transforms how we understand the relationship between past, present, and future, revealing that what we usually experience as the brief, fleeting present actually contains infinite depth and unlimited possibility. In our ordinary experience, time seems to flow in one direction, carrying us from past through present toward future. The past appears to be gone forever, accessible only through memory. The future seems not yet real, existing only in imagination and anticipation. And the present moment feels like a razor-thin slice between what was and what will be, too brief to contain anything of lasting significance. But the Avatamsaka vision reveals that this linear understanding of time, while practically useful for daily activities, doesn't reflect the deeper nature of temporal reality. Instead, every moment of present awareness actually contains within itself the complete pattern of past influences and the full spectrum of future possibilities. Nothing is ever truly lost, and nothing is ever merely potential. Everything exists now in the eternal present of consciousness. This teaching suggests that when you're fully present in any moment, you're not just experiencing that isolated instant, but touching the timeless dimension where all of existence converges. The breath you're taking right now contains within it all the breaths you've ever taken and all the breaths you'll ever take. The love you feel in this moment holds within it every experience of love throughout your entire life and the infinite potential for love that extends into the future. This isn't just poetic metaphor, but points to the actual structure of consciousness and memory. Modern neuroscience has discovered that when you remember something, you're not accessing a stored file, but actively reconstructing the memory using current neural patterns influenced by everything you've experienced since the original event. Your past is literally being recreated in each moment of remembering, which means the past is not fixed, but continues to evolve and change based on your present understanding. Similarly, your anticipation of the future isn't just imagination, but actually helps to create the reality you'll encounter. The intentions you form, the expectations you hold, the preparations you make, all influence what will actually unfold. Your future is being shaped in this present moment through the quality of awareness and intention you're bringing to your current experience. The great German philosopher Martin Heidegger explored similar insights through his understanding of human existence as fundamentally temporal. He recognized that human being is not just in time like objects in space, but is itself a temporal process where past, present, and future interpenetrate each other. He called this ecstatic temporality, meaning that human consciousness naturally stands outside the simple present moment and encompasses all three temporal dimensions simultaneously. The French philosopher Henri Bergson made similar discoveries through his studies of memory and consciousness. He found that what we call the present moment actually contains what he called the specious present, a duration that includes immediate past and immediate future. Pure instantaneous moments don't actually exist in lived experience, which always involves a thickness of time that connects what just was with what's about to be. Contemporary physics has also discovered that time is far more complex and relative than common sense suggests. Einstein's theory of relativity revealed that time passes differently depending on speed and gravitational fields, that simultaneity is relative to the observer, and that space and time are actually aspects of a unified space-time continuum. Quantum mechanics has shown that at the fundamental level of reality, the distinction between past, present, and future becomes much more fluid and interconnected than classical physics assumed. But what does this understanding of one thought moment contains three times mean for your practical daily experience? First, it can help you recognize that the present moment is not a prison that traps you between an unchangeable past and an uncertain future, but is actually a gateway to infinite possibility and meaning. When you're fully present with whatever you're experiencing right now, you're not just dealing with current circumstances, but engaging with the entire trajectory of your life. Every moment of mindful awareness becomes an opportunity to heal and transform your relationship with past experiences and to plant seeds that will flower in future understanding and capability. This teaching can be particularly healing for people who struggle with regret about past mistakes or anxiety about future challenges. Instead of feeling trapped by what you've done or worried about what might happen, you can recognize that your present awareness and intention, has the power to transform both your past and your future. Not by changing external facts, but by changing the meaning and significance that those experiences hold in the ongoing story of your life. When you respond to current challenges with wisdom rather than reactivity, you're not just solving today's problems, but healing patterns that may have been causing difficulties for years. When you love someone fully in this moment, you're not just expressing current affection, but touching the eternal dimension of love that connects all hearts across time. When you learn something new or gain insight into yourself, you're not just acquiring information, but participating in the timeless process of consciousness awakening to its own nature. The teaching also suggests that you have access right now to all the wisdom you'll ever need. Not because you already know everything intellectually, but because the present moment contains infinite depth that can be explored endlessly. The more fully you inhabit this moment, the more you discover that it contains resources for understanding and responding that you never knew were available. This can transform how you approach meditation and contemplative practice. Instead of seeing these as ways to achieve some future state of enlightenment, you can recognize them as ways of discovering the enlightenment that's already present in the depth of each moment. Instead of trying to get somewhere else, you're learning to arrive more completely where you already are. The Avatamsaka Sutra's understanding of space is equally revolutionary, presenting a vision of infinite universes extending in all directions, each one containing countless worlds where beings are learning, growing, and awakening. This isn't just ancient cosmology, but a profound teaching about the inexhaustible creativity and generosity of existence itself. In the Avatamsaka vision, space is not empty void waiting to be filled, but is alive with infinite potential and actual manifestation. Every point in space contains within it entire universes, and every universe is connected to every other universe through networks of relationship and mutual influence. This is sometimes called the interpenetration of all realms, where boundaries between different dimensions of existence become permeable and fluid. This teaching directly addresses one of the most common sources of existential anxiety in our modern world, the feeling of being insignificant in what seems like a vast, indifferent cosmos. When astronomers tell us about billions of galaxies stretching across distances so enormous that light takes billions of years to cross them, it's natural to feel like a tiny, meaningless speck in an incomprehensibly large universe. But the Avatamsaka understanding reveals that size and significance are not related in the way we usually assume. In a reality where every point contains infinite universes and every being is connected to every other being through networks of interdependence, there's no such thing as an insignificant location or an unimportant being. Your particular perspective on reality, your unique way of experiencing and responding to existence, adds something to the cosmic whole that nothing else can provide. The teaching suggests that consciousness itself is the fundamental space in which all experiences arise. Physical space, with its dimensions and distances, is actually an appearance within the more fundamental space of awareness. This doesn't make physical reality illusory, but it reveals that the consciousness in which you're reading these words is actually continuous with the consciousness that pervades all existence. This understanding can profoundly shift how you experience your place in the world. Instead of feeling like an isolated observer looking out at an external universe, you begin to recognize yourself as a unique expression of the universe becoming conscious of itself. Your thoughts, feelings, experiences, and responses are all ways that cosmic consciousness is exploring and understanding its own infinite nature. The 20th century philosopher and scientist Pierre Teilhard de Chardin articulated a similar vision through his concept of the noosphere, the sphere of human consciousness that he saw as a natural evolution of the biosphere. He proposed that individual human consciousness is part of a planetary and cosmic consciousness that is gradually awakening to itself through the development of increasingly complex forms of awareness and relationship. Contemporary cosmology has discovered that the universe is indeed far stranger and more interconnected than classical physics imagined. Quantum entanglement shows that particles that have interacted once remain connected across any distance, suggesting that separation in space doesn't necessarily mean separation in causal influence. The discovery of dark matter and dark energy reveals that most of the universe consists of invisible factors that we don't yet understand, but that clearly influence the behavior of visible matter across cosmic distances. Some physicists have proposed that consciousness itself might be a fundamental feature of reality rather than just an emergent property of complex matter. The quantum physicist Henry Stapp has suggested that consciousness plays an essential role in the collapse of quantum wave functions, meaning that awareness is actually necessary for the manifestation of physical reality as we experience it. But what does this understanding of infinite space mean for dealing with the practical challenges of your daily life? First, it can help you recognize that your individual problems, while real and deserving of attention, exist within a context so vast and supportive that they need not overwhelm you or define your identity. When you're facing difficulties at work, in relationships, or with health challenges, you can remember that these situations are arising within an infinite field of possibility and support. This doesn't make your problems disappear, but it can help you approach them from a place of greater stability and creativity rather than panic or despair. The teaching also suggests that you have access to unlimited resources for dealing with whatever challenges arise. Not because solutions will magically appear without effort, but because the infinite creativity of existence is always generating new possibilities that you might not have considered. When you approach difficulties with openness to unexpected sources of help and creative solutions, you often discover resources that weren't apparent when you felt trapped by limited options. This spatial understanding can also transform how you relate to other people. Instead of seeing others as separate individuals, competing for limited resources or attention, you can begin to recognize them as other expressions of the same infinite consciousness that you are. This doesn't diminish their individuality or yours, but it reveals that their welfare and yours are ultimately inseparable, because you're all expressions of the same fundamental reality. When someone is being difficult or hostile, instead of taking it personally, you can remember that their behavior is arising from their own struggles with feeling separate and unsupported in what seems like an indifferent universe. Your compassionate response might help them remember their connection to the infinite love and wisdom that is their deeper nature, just as their challenges might help you develop greater patience and understanding. One of the most mind-bending aspects of the Avatamsaka teaching is its understanding of how vastly different scales of time can exist simultaneously and interpenetrate each other. The sutra speaks of kalpas and ks-anas, cosmic eons, and instantaneous moments as being fundamentally the same duration when seen from the perspective of enlightened awareness. A kalpa in Buddhist cosmology represents an almost unimaginably long period of time, often described as the time it would take to wear away a mountain by brushing it once every 100 years with a silk cloth. Aks Anna represents the briefest possible moment of awareness, sometimes described as the time it takes for a single thought to arise and pass away, which modern Buddhist psychology estimates as occurring thousands of times per second. The extraordinary teaching is that these two extremes of temporal duration are actually the same when experienced from the perspective of complete presence. This isn't just mystical poetry, but points to a profound truth about the nature of consciousness and time that has practical implications for how you can experience your daily life. When you're completely absorbed in an activity you love, whether it's creative work, intimate conversation, or simply appreciating natural beauty, you often lose track of time entirely. Hours can pass in what feels like minutes, or a brief moment can feel like it contains eternity. This isn't a malfunction of your time perception, but a glimpse of how time actually functions when consciousness is not divided between past regrets, future anxieties, and present experience. The Avatamsaka teaching suggests that this undivided awareness, where consciousness is completely unified with its object of attention, is actually the most accurate way to experience time. Linear, measured time is a useful convention for coordinating activities and managing practical affairs, but it's not the deepest truth about temporal reality. Modern physics has discovered similar paradoxes in the nature of time. Einstein's relativity theory revealed that time passes more slowly for objects traveling at high speeds or in strong gravitational fields. From the perspective of a photon traveling at the speed of light, the entire journey from a distant star to your eye takes 0 time, even though, from our perspective, it might take millions of years. This suggests that the rate at which time passes is not absolute, but depends on the frame of reference from which it's measured. Quantum mechanics has revealed even stranger temporal phenomena. Quantum entanglement allows particles to influence each other instantaneously across any distance, suggesting that at the quantum level, the ordinary rules of temporal sequence don't always apply. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics even suggest that quantum events can influence their own past causes, creating what physicists call retrocausal effects. The neuroscientist Francisco Varela conducted fascinating research on what he called the specious present, the actual duration of conscious moments as measured by brain activity. He found that what we experience as now actually lasts approximately 200 to 300 milliseconds and involves the integration of multiple neural processes that create the sense of a unified moment of awareness. His research suggested that consciousness naturally operates in what he called nowness, a temporal structure that's neither instantaneous nor indefinitely extended, but has a natural rhythm and duration that allows for the integration of perception, memory, and intention into coherent moments of experience. But what does this understanding of cosmic time containing momentary time mean for your practical experience? First, it can help you recognize that the present moment is not a limitation that restricts you to immediate circumstances, but is actually a gateway to unlimited temporal richness and possibility. When you're fully present with whatever you're experiencing, you're not just dealing with surface phenomena, but touching the timeless dimension that contains all of existence. A moment of genuine presence while drinking your morning coffee contains the same spiritual richness as years of distracted seeking. An instant of authentic love or compassion touches the eternal dimension that underlies all temporary experiences. This teaching can be particularly helpful for people who feel overwhelmed by the pace of modern life or frustrated by feeling like they don't have enough time for what really matters. Instead of trying to find more time for spiritual practice, meaningful relationships, or creative expression, you can discover how to find infinite depth in whatever time you have. This doesn't mean becoming passive or abandoning appropriate effort to organize your life skillfully. Rather, it means discovering that the quality of presence you bring to any activity is more important than the quantity of time you have available. 5 minutes of complete attention often accomplishes more than hours of distracted effort. The teaching also suggests that your spiritual development doesn't require vast amounts of time if you learn to access the depth that's available in each moment. Instead of thinking you need years of meditation practice to achieve peace, you can discover the peace that's already present in this moment of awareness. Instead of feeling like you need more life experience to gain wisdom, you can find infinite wisdom in fully digesting whatever experiences you've already had. This can transform how you approach both mundane activities and special occasions. Washing dishes becomes an opportunity to practice presence rather than just a chore to complete quickly. A conversation with a friend becomes a chance to touch the eternal dimension of human connection rather than just an exchange of information. A walk in nature becomes a meditation on the timeless beauty that's always available, rather than just physical exercise. In our age of global communication and space exploration, when we're constantly reminded of the vast scales of cosmic space and time, many people struggle with feelings of insignificance and meaninglessness. How can your individual life matter in a universe containing billions of galaxies, where the Earth is less than a speck of dust, and human civilization occupies less than an instant in cosmic history? The Avatamsaka understanding offers a profoundly different perspective on this question. Instead of seeing size and significance as directly related, it reveals that meaning and importance operate according to completely different principles than physical magnitude or temporal duration. In the Avatamsaka vision, every conscious being, regardless of how small or brief their existence might appear from an external perspective, contains within their awareness the complete pattern of universal existence. Your individual consciousness is not a tiny fragment of cosmic consciousness, but is actually a complete expression of cosmic consciousness appearing in a particular form. This is sometimes illustrated through the metaphor of holographic images, where every piece of the hologram contains the complete picture, though perhaps with less resolution than the whole. In the same way, your individual awareness contains within it the complete pattern of universal awareness, though filtered through your particular genetic inheritance, cultural conditioning, and personal history. This doesn't make you identical to everyone else, but it does mean that your unique perspective on reality adds something irreplaceable to the cosmic understanding of itself. The particular way you experience beauty, love, challenge, growth, and awakening contributes to the universe's exploration of its own infinite potential in ways that no other being can duplicate. From this perspective, the question isn't whether your life matters in the vast cosmos, but how the vast cosmos is expressing and exploring itself through your particular life. Your individual experiences, responses, and development are ways that universal consciousness is coming to understand its own nature more completely. Contemporary psychology has begun to recognize similar principles through research on what psychologists call self-transcendent experiences and their relationship to meaning and well-being. Studies show that people who have experiences of connection to something larger than themselves, whether through spiritual practice, service to others, or appreciation of natural beauty, tend to report greater life satisfaction and resilience in facing challenges. Research on what Viktor Frankl called meaning-making has shown that the sense of significance comes not from the objective magnitude of your achievements, but from feeling that your life serves purposes larger than immediate personal gratification. People who see their individual efforts as contributing to family welfare, community development, cultural evolution, or spiritual understanding tend to experience their lives as meaningful, regardless of external recognition or material success. The field of positive psychology has also discovered that well-being is more closely related to feeling that your life has purpose and that your unique gifts are being expressed and appreciated than to achieving particular outcomes or accumulating specific possessions. This suggests that meaning comes from the quality of engagement rather than the quantity of achievement. But what does this understanding mean for dealing with the practical reality of feeling small and overwhelmed in a complex world? First, it can help you recognize that your sense of insignificance is based on a mistaken assumption about how significance actually works. You're not insignificant because you're small in physical terms, but rather infinitely significant, because consciousness itself is expressing its unlimited creativity through your particular existence. This doesn't mean you should develop spiritual pride or think that your opinions and preferences are cosmically important. Rather, it means you can trust that your sincere efforts to understand yourself, love others, and contribute something positive to the world are always meaningful, regardless of how they're received or what external results they produce. When you're facing challenges that seem overwhelming, you can remember that you're not dealing with these difficulties alone, but as an expression of universal consciousness, learning how to work with these kinds of challenges. Your individual struggle is part of the cosmic process of consciousness developing greater wisdom, compassion, and skill in dealing with the complexities of existence. This perspective can also help you approach your daily activities with greater appreciation and engagement. Instead of thinking that only dramatic achievements or special experiences have real significance, you can recognize that the care you bring to ordinary tasks, the presence you offer in routine interactions, and the growth you achieve through mundane challenges are all ways that cosmic consciousness is exploring and expressing its unlimited potential. Your individual life becomes not a meaningless accident in an indifferent universe, but a precious and irreplaceable opportunity for existence itself to know and express itself in ways that have never happened before and will never happen again. This understanding can provide unshakable ground for confidence, purpose, and joy that doesn't depend on external circumstances or other people's recognition. The ultimate teaching of the Avatamsaka understanding of time and space is that eternity and the present moment are not opposite, but are actually two ways of experiencing the same reality. When consciousness is completely unified and present, temporal duration becomes irrelevant, because you're touching the dimension of existence that is beyond time while remaining fully engaged with temporal experience. This is what spiritual traditions mean when they speak of eternal life or timeless awareness. It's not about duration that goes on forever, but about a quality of consciousness that is so complete and present that it transcends the anxiety and limitation that come from feeling trapped between past and future, yesterday and tomorrow. Similarly, infinite space and your immediate location are revealed to be two aspects of the same reality. When awareness is completely open and present, you discover that wherever you are contains unlimited depth and connection. You don't need to travel to exotic locations or achieve special circumstances to touch the infinite, because the infinite is already completely present in whatever environment you currently inhabit. This teaching offers profound practical wisdom for anyone who struggles with time management, spatial limitations, or the general feeling of being constrained by circumstances. Instead of constantly trying to rearrange external conditions to create opportunities for meaning and fulfillment, you can learn to discover unlimited richness in whatever conditions are currently available. This doesn't mean becoming passive or abandoning appropriate effort to improve your circumstances when possible. Rather, it means discovering that your essential well-being and spiritual development don't depend on having perfect conditions, but can flourish in whatever situation you find yourself. When you're stuck in traffic, instead of feeling like you're wasting time, you can use those moments for practicing presence, appreciation, or compassion. When you're in an environment that feels limiting or uninspiring, instead of waiting for better circumstances, you can discover the unlimited creativity and beauty that's available when awareness is fully engaged with whatever is present. The integration of eternal and temporal, infinite and local, doesn't require special mystical experiences, but can be cultivated through simple practices of attention and appreciation. When you eat a meal with complete presence, tasting each bite fully, and appreciating the countless beings and processes that brought this nourishment to you, you're experiencing the eternal and the temporal. When you listen to music or appreciate natural beauty with undivided attention, you're touching the infinite through finite forms. When you love someone without trying to possess or control them, allowing their freedom while offering your complete presence, you're expressing eternal love through temporal relationship. Contemporary neuroscience has begun to study what happens in the brain during these kinds of integrated experiences. Research on meditation and other contemplative practices shows that sustained attention and present moment awareness can literally change brain structure and function in ways that increase capacity for happiness, emotional regulation, and empathetic connection with others. Studies of what researchers call flow states, where people become completely absorbed in challenging activities that match their skill level, show that these experiences are characterized by a dissolution of the sense of linear time and a feeling of being connected to something larger than individual identity. People in flow states report that time either seems to slow down or speed up dramatically, and that they feel like they're participating in a larger intelligence rather than just using their personal capabilities. The practical application of this understanding is that you can begin to approach your entire life as an opportunity to discover and express the harmony of eternal and temporal, infinite and finite. Every moment becomes a chance to practice presence rather than just a stepping stone to some future achievement. Every location becomes a potential sacred space rather than just a temporary stopping point on the way to somewhere better. This can transform how you approach both work and leisure, both mundane responsibilities and special celebrations. Instead of dividing your life into meaningful spiritual time and meaningless ordinary time, you can discover how to bring sacred awareness to whatever you're doing, whether that's changing diapers, analyzing data, creating art, or sitting in meditation. The teaching suggests that enlightenment is not a special state you achieve occasionally, but a way of being present that can be cultivated in any circumstance. Awakening is not about having extraordinary experiences, but about recognizing the extraordinary nature of ordinary experience when it's met with complete presence and appreciation. As we conclude our exploration of the Avatamsaka understanding of time and space, we discover that these teachings offer not just philosophical insights, but practical wisdom that can transform how you experience every aspect of your life. The revolutionary vision that emerges is both comforting and empowering, both grounding and liberating. We began by discovering that every moment contains infinite depth, that the present instant is not a limitation but a gateway to timeless understanding and unlimited possibility. This insight can free you from the anxiety of feeling like you're running out of time and help you discover extraordinary richness in ordinary moments. We explored how infinite space interpenetrates with your immediate location, revealing that you don't need to be anywhere else to touch the vastness and creativity of cosmic existence. This understanding can heal feelings of insignificance and help you recognize that your unique perspective contributes something irreplaceable to the universe's understanding of itself. Through examining how vast cosmic time and instantaneous moments are actually the same duration when experienced with complete presence, we discovered practical ways to find eternal meaning in temporal activities. This can transform both mundane tasks and special occasions into opportunities for touching the sacred dimension that underlies all experience. We saw how the apparent opposition between individual limitation and cosmic magnitude dissolves when you recognize that universal consciousness is expressing itself completely through your particular life. This insight can provide unshakable ground for confidence and purpose that doesn't depend on external achievement or recognition. Finally, we explored how eternity and the present moment, infinity and immediacy, are not opposites but complementary aspects of reality that can be integrated through practices of presence and appreciation. This understanding offers practical wisdom for finding fulfillment and meaning wherever you are, rather than constantly seeking better circumstances. Perhaps most importantly, these teachings reveal that the transformation you're seeking doesn't require dramatic changes in your external circumstances, but can begin immediately through shifting how you relate to whatever experience is currently available. The peace, meaning, and connection you're looking for are not distant goals, but present possibilities that can be accessed through fuller engagement with this moment, this place, this life, as it actually is. The Avatamsaka vision of time and space ultimately shows us that existence is far more friendly, meaningful, and supportive than our ordinary perception suggests. You're not a temporary accident struggling for survival in an indifferent cosmos, but an eternal expression of cosmic creativity exploring its unlimited potential through your unique form of awareness and activity. This understanding can provide a foundation of trust and appreciation that remains stable regardless of changing circumstances. Whether you're facing challenges or celebrating successes, dealing with loss or experiencing gain, the recognition that you're participating in something infinitely larger and more meaningful than individual concerns can provide perspective, strength, and even joy in any situation. You can begin embodying this understanding immediately by practicing greater presence with whatever you're currently experiencing. Notice how this moment contains depths that you usually overlook in your hurry to get to the next moment. Appreciate how your current location, however ordinary it might seem, connects you to the entire universe through countless visible and invisible relationships. Remember that the quality of awareness you bring to any experience is more important than the objective characteristics of that experience. A moment of genuine presence while washing dishes contains the same spiritual potential as visiting the most sacred places on earth. A conversation approached with complete attention can be as transformative as years of study or practice. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of some of the most profound insights ever articulated about the nature of temporal and spatial reality. May these teachings help you discover the extraordinary in the ordinary, the eternal in the temporal, and the infinite in the immediate. May you find in every moment an opportunity to touch the sacred dimension of existence, and may you recognize in your own unique life a precious and irreplaceable expression of universal love and wisdom. In understanding the Avatamsaka vision of time and space, you gain access to a source of meaning and fulfillment that can never be taken away because it's based not on external conditions but on the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. This is perhaps the greatest gift these teachings offer, the recognition that what you've been seeking is already completely present, waiting only for the kind of attention and appreciation that can reveal its inexhaustible richness and beauty.